Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. So today's webinar is part of our Leadership Team series of webinars, and today what we're going to be talking about is your chapter website and how BNI Connect works with chapter websites, what is produced on the chapter websites, what you can edit, and how you can edit your chapter website. Take a look at a couple of examples as well of some chapter websites that are out there that have gotten pretty creative with some of the things that they've been able to do. Before we get started with today's content, just a couple of really quick housekeeping things. Firstly, this is a live webinar, so if you have any questions as we're going through the material today, please do feel free to ask those questions. Best way to do that is to please type your questions into the questions panel, and I'll see those pop up on my screen as we're going through the stuff today, and I'll be happy to answer them. If you happen to be listening to our recording of this presentation, then you can also always email answers to support@bniconnect.com or by logging a ticket on the support site. As mentioned, we do record all of these. They're made available on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, as well as on our support site, which you can access by clicking on this question mark here in the upper right-hand corner of BNI Connect. We do try to keep these webinars to about 30 minutes or so in length to make sure that we're respecting your time. I know everybody here has their own business that they're running and has taken time out of their very busy schedules in order to learn a little bit more about BNI Connect. So I do try to keep the content to 30 minutes or less in most cases. That said, if you have more time and you'd like to ask more questions, I am always happy to stay on these webinars until every single question has been answered. The only silly question is the unasked question. Again, this is what I do all day, every day, and happy to answer your questions while we have you live here on the webinar. So let's go ahead and get started with today's content. Again, we're going to be talking about the Content Management System, or the CMS, and the chapter websites. So firstly, one thing that you may or may not know is that aside from logging into BNI Connect and having access to the internal portions of BNI Connect and being able to connect with people and things like that, there's also a very public presence to BNI as well. And that is that every country, every region, and every chapter has their own websites. For example, here in the United States, we do have BNIamerica.com. So if I went to BNIamerica.com, this is our national BNI America website, and it has all the chapter listings and all of the regions and all of the members as well. So everybody here has a profile up on BNI America. For example, if I do a search for myself through this BNI America site, this has all 80,000 or so members in the United States and their profile. Aside from the BNI America site, every region has their own website as well. So I happen to be a member here in Rhode Island on the eastern side of the United States. So if I wanted to go to my regional website, I mean, I happen to know that it's BNIRI.com, but it is also available by clicking this regional website button in the upper right-hand corner after you've logged into BNI Connect. This will take me to my regional site. This has all of our local chapters and members. So once again, I can go to, let's say, find a member here and do a search for myself and be able to find all the Jeremys in the region, and this is the same profile. So now what you're seeing here is a pretty cool thing about the BNI websites is that I only need to fill out my profile once, and it will be on 3 different places. So here it is on our regional site, and then if I go and I look for chapters here in my region, I'm in the Wakefield chapter, as I said, so I'm going to go to Wakefield, and aside from having my name listed here as well, I can also go and visit this chapter's website, and here is now a third URL. It happens to be at bniri.com/Wakefield, and this is our chapter website. Now this is a pretty much out-of-the-box, changed chapter website, with the exception that I did enter the Facebook link to our Facebook page here. But other than that, it automatically pulls all of our leadership team. It automatically has our location, has a stock photo here. It has our members, so all of the different member profiles. And we have a couple of other pages that we can utilize as well. And as I said, this is a very, very basic page, but there are some pretty unique pages out there. Give you an example, one of them here. This is a page in Amsterdam. And yes, these pages are international, so they have their website. They have done a Facebook feed on their particular site. They have a nice stock image here. And they also, of course, can link to their chapter members. So same look and feel of the navigation, but each chapter can really make their page their own. Let me just show you a couple more real quick. So I know that there's one that I always go to, the BNI Rugby chapter there in the UK, in Warwickshire. So if I click on their chapter here, what they've done is actually more of a really long page with lots of graphics and videos and a link to register for their chapter and text and pictures and quotes from the members. And they've really done a good job at customizing their page this way. And I'm going to show you here they also have their gallery, so you can check out, let's say, their 10-minute speakers, for example, and take a look through some of their member photographers' photographs here on their chapter website. So it's a great way to share information and share photos and really customize it to make it your own, link to some other external resources that you have in order to really promote your chapter. So let me show you just one last one, BNI Golden Ideas. Oops, I wish I could type today. And this one is actually in San Francisco. And you can see that they've done some similar things. They put a map on their particular site. But again, it's pulling all of this information automatically. So one of the things that we found over the years, especially with with chapters that had went out and they bought their own domain name, and the web designer's like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to really show my credibility by building this chapter a really awesome website. And then they realized that they had to chase all the members down to fill out their profiles, and every time a new member came in, they were updating the website, and it turned out to be a lot more work than they had bargained for. And a lot of times, if for whatever reason the web designer decides to leave the chapter, now we have all these orphan websites all over the place and nobody knows who owns them, and it gets to be a real mess. So we do recommend the BNI chapter websites, because even if you don't do anything to it whatsoever, at the very least your roster is going to be updated automatically through BNI Connect. All the meeting contact information and leadership contact information will be updated automatically as well. All right, so that's what these look like. That's what the general gist is of these chapter websites. So let's take a look at how do we actually go in and modify them and edit them and make them our own. So we do that. I'm going to close out of those windows, and here I am in BNI Connect. So you do need to log into BNI Connect in order to access the tool for modifying the chapter websites. Now, by default, if you are on the leadership team, you're the president, the vice president, the secretary, treasurer, you will have access to this functionality. However, if you don't have access to this functionality, the other way to get access is to be assigned as the chapter webmaster. In order to do that, if you haven't been assigned already, the person that can do that is your regional office. So whether it's your executive director or director consultant or your regional admin person that's in the office there, that would be the person to get in touch with in order to be assigned as the chapter webmaster. Now, the easiest way to do that, if you don't know who it is, by the way, click on regional website and click on the contact page, and that should tell you who your regional admin people are. That should be able to help you with that, or again, your chapter director consultant. Once you've been assigned access, you will see that you have a bunch of menu items up here along the top: network operations, reports, tools, and admin. And again, depending on your level of access, you may see some or all of those. But the place that I do want to go for this is, it's a special function. So we're going to go to Tools, and then you should see CMS and Chapter Websites. So Tools, CMS, Chapter Websites. Once we get there, you'll see all of the chapters that you have access to edit. I'm a system admin, so I see them all, but if I was just a webmaster for one chapter, I would just see one thing listed there. So right now I can see that here's my AntarcticReferrals.com. We're going to be playing in my test region, or the Antarctica region, in my Shiver region, and this is my BNI Brr chapter. So if I wanted to check out the page, I could just click this link. This is the current URL for our chapter page. You can see it's antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-BNI-BR, which is an auto-generated name. And again, this is an out-of-the-box, never been touched chapter website. So you can see that it's still pulling some information automatically from BNI Connect, like the vice president. It's pulling the amount of closed business that we've passed and has some default text on there. But obviously we want to make this our own. So going back, we can now see the chapter website, who created it when it was last modified. I actually just recreated it today. And now we have options here. So if we click this edit icon under options, this will take us into really the back end of our chapter website. What we're seeing here is basically the layout and the structure of this particular website. So we have our BRR chapter website. You can see we have a home page, a chapter members page. We also have these sub-pages, or the subsections of the chapter members page. We have the member details sub-page, the chapter details subsection, and then the send message sub-page. We also have a chapter gallery available and a chapter news feed. And if we go back out, we can see, for example, our live site. Just bringing this out here, we have our home page here. That's our home page. We have our chapter members. So if I click on chapter members, this is our chapter members page. And then we have gallery and news. Now, news is a special page. It's actually a feed from the regional office, or it can be also edited at the chapter level. But we do seem to be missing the gallery page. And by default, the gallery page, that's the one that had all the pictures, if you remember, on these other websites, like the rugby page. By default, the gallery page is hidden because there's nothing shared there yet. But if you wanted to turn that on, let me move that out of the way. Of course, I can always go to the gallery page here, and currently my option is to either show it or hide it. So for example, I could hide the news page or show the gallery page. If I click show, it then allows me to submit it. And if I bring this back and I refresh it, oh, it's still not showing. Well, one thing about working on these chapter sites is that whenever you're working on them, you're actually working on a back-end copy of the site. So we're working on the preview site right now. So if I was to click this preview site, we can see that the gallery button is now appearing. But right now, there is the preview site, which again is where we're actively working, and then there's the live site, which everybody else in the world sees. In order to make the live site have the current information that the working copy has, we need to publish those changes. So we do that by clicking this publish button here. So that will go ahead and activate the gallery page for the rest of the world to see. So I published it. It happens really quickly, really just a flash of the page usually. If I come back here and I refresh this live page now you can see I have the gallery tab. All right, now before we get into editing the content of the pages themselves, let's take a look. We also have some tabs up here along the top. So, of course, this is our Pages tab. This is where most of it happens. We also have our Library tab. Now, what the library is this is going to be your picture library for putting photos and things like that onto the website. So in order to display a picture, whether it's a chapter photograph or some other graphic out there, you first need to upload it onto the BNI Connect servers. And we do that by placing it into the library. So what we can do is we have our images, documents, and Flash objects. So the images we can upload. We can click the upload button here. We can then click this magnifying glass, and we can go find various pictures that are loaded on our computer. So you can either, you can grab up to 3, I believe, photographs at a time. So let's say that I wanted to grab this mentoring one. I wanted to grab a BNI Connect's online training. And I'm holding down the control button, by the way. And also this BNI logo, BNI Connect logo here. So I have 3 files. I can then click upload, and now they will be in my library. Now you can do the same things as well with documents. If you wanted to, let's say, share a document off of your regional website or your chapter website, you could do that as well. Just need to upload it. And I mean, nobody really uses Flash anymore. This is an older CMS version right now, so I don't really recommend putting Flash up there, but it does have the capability to do so. Most people are just going to be uploading images into the library. Of course, you can delete things as well if you want to clean up your library by clicking, putting a little check mark in the box and clicking the delete button. All right, the next tab over is the Site Information tab. Now, you don't really want to do too much here. Most of this is really just for more informational purposes. The 2 things that you may want to do, though, we do have the chapter folder name. Now, you will see that this is an auto-generated name because we are using a template to create the first version of your website. And what it's doing is it's creating a name to make it unique. It's going to put in the name of your region and then also the name of the chapter, and it's going to put dashes in wherever there's an illegal character or space. So that created a Shiver region BNI --BR. That is kind of a mouthful. If you're telling somebody to go visit go check out my chapter site, it's antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-BR. Can probably come up with something a little bit easier to remember. So we can change this chapter folder name here. And let's just call it, BNI BRRR. Maybe we don't even want the BNI, just the antarcticreferrals.com/BR. So once I update this, I can then publish that, and now my URL will be antarcticreferrals.com/BR. The only other really thing on this Site Information tab, going back to the Site Information, is if you are using something like Google Analytics or something like that, you can enter your own analytics code in there, and you can see what people are clicking on and how long they stay on your site and where they're coming from, if you would like to enter that into the analytics code. The rest of this information, for example, the button names, I do recommend that you leave those the way that they are, or at the very least, please talk to your executive director before making those changes. One of the strengths of these BNI chapter sites is that there's consistency among the various chapter sites within a region for people that are visiting them. So while you do have the ability to change them, I do recommend checking with your executive director first. All right, so let's go back. The last tab here is the Gallery tab. So once you've activated your gallery, you can then create photo galleries on your chapter site here. This is really very similar to the way the library works, except that you can organize pictures into albums. So I can create a new album. Let's call these chapter mugshots, photos of our members. Right, and then we're going to click Submit. I can then go in and add some photos to this by clicking on Manage Photos. Now these photos you do have to enter one at a time. So let's say I was going to put in a photo here. This will allow me to add a photo onto this photo gallery. I can take a preview of it if I wanted to here. It looks like a nice upside down photo. And if I go back to my pages and go and take a look at the chapter page, I can then see, oh, that's right, we have to publish first. Let me go back and publish that. And now if I go to our live site, there should be a photo in the photo gallery. Granted, an upside down one, but the photo is there. So let's take a look at how do we edit this home page? So let's make this home page our own. This is where we're really going to spend most of our time. Now the place that the magic happens for that, you'll see that for each one of the pages that are on the site, we have a couple of options. So we can edit the name. So if you don't like home, maybe you want this to be, about our chapter. You can change the name of that button if you'd like to. And again, now if I go to my site, this now says about our chapter instead of home. You can also edit the meta tags. Now, I am not going to pretend to be an expert on search engine optimization or meta tags. That is an art form in and of itself. I do highly recommend that you talk to, if you're not a web designer already, if you're not already familiar with SEO, search engine optimization, talk to somebody that is. They will be able to give you much better advice than I could possibly give. And then finally, we have our edit content. And this is really where we're going to go in and edit the page itself. Now, you'll notice this just opened up in a new window. So if you click this button for edit content and nothing happens, please do take a look at your pop-up blocker. A lot of web browsers do have pop-up blocking enabled by default. So you do need to turn off your pop-up blocker, at least temporarily, in order to allow this page to open up. So once you open it up, I mean, really editing the basic parts of editing the site. I mean, if you've ever used a Microsoft Word before, you can pretty much edit the majority of your chapter site. Most of this is just going to be, typing as you would just type in any other document. You can even put in like bulleted lists or numbered lists. You can change the font sizes, bold and italic, and you want this to be giant, you want this to be 48 points, and I want this to be highlighted, or I want to change the font color to red, and first year I want that to be highlighted in yellow. All of those things, and really most of these things here are going to be, for the most part, the same types of stuff you're going to do in Microsoft Word. Some things that are unique, however, to really working with a web editor. There are the ability, there's the forms builder buttons up here. That takes a little bit more advanced coding knowledge, so I'm going to leave those ones alone. However, this row of icons right here is probably the next thing that you might spend some time with. The first one is a link. So let's say that I put in, find us on Facebook, right? And I want this word Facebook to be a link to our Facebook page. You do that by clicking on the link button. And from there, just copy and paste whatever your URL is. Oops, you know what? I forgot to highlight that before I hit the link button. Highlight that, and then hit the link button, and then I can put in facebook.com and then whatever your URL is. Right, so now this will now be highlighted and underlined, and when they click that, it will bring them to the Facebook page. Now, the other thing you may want to do is to put in some pictures that you uploaded to your library. So we do that by clicking this Facebook button. Once we get here, we click the Browse Server, and this is going to browse your chapter's library on the BNI Connect server. You'll see that it has some stock photos and things in here, but it'll also have, so for example, the 3 things that I uploaded: the BNI Connect button, the mentoring, and this BNI Connect online training. So I can upload that. I can see the button's going to be pretty big. Maybe I want to make that a little smaller, and it'll keep the ratio the same unless you unlock it. Right, and so now I have this BNI Connect online training button. You can even go and link this so it turns into kind of a button, if you will. Say I want that to open up the support site, support.bniconnect.com. That way when somebody clicks on that, it will open up to the website. Now, after you've made all these wonderful changes and you want to see what you've done, go ahead and click the Save. That will save what you've been doing. You can go back, and now if I publish this and then go to my live site, now you can see all this wonderful new stuff on my new and improved chapter webpage here. Of course, if I click the various links, it will take me off to those places. Now, the one other thing for any of you that might be advanced users, if I go into the edit content, you do have access to the source as well for the page, so you can click on source. And if you prefer to write in HTML code directly, you are more than welcome to do so, or edit things within there. There are certain things that you have to do through the source code, like if you wanted to embed a video or any of the Facebook tools and things like that, you would have to get into the source video and copy and paste the JavaScript codes or the iframe codes directly into the source here. Now, the other pages actually work very similarly, except there's different amounts of information that you can change on them. For example, on the chapter members page, if I go into edit content, you'll see that there's actually 2 sections here. So we have the top section. So this is where you might want to put in some text about, members, or you can put in a graphic up here at the top, and then the same thing in the footer of the page as well. The middle of the page here, you can't really do anything with. That's the stuff that gets auto-populated from BNI Connect. All right, so we are at the bottom of the hour. What I'd like to do is to open this up to any questions. Any questions at all about editing your chapter websites? Be happy to answer those now, or any other questions that you have about BNI Connect whatsoever. While you're thinking of any additional questions, just a quick thing. This is part of a series of webinars. You can always find our upcoming webinars on the regional website, on the regional calendars, and or on the support site. Our very next webinar is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about online renewals and how that process works for leadership teams. And then next week we start our member series of webinars. We're going to talk about completing your profile and giving and tracking referrals and connecting with other members. So I do a good referral for me is to please recommend these webinars. So we do have a couple of questions. Well, actually, Ken has a comment. He said maybe the photo image is upside down because Antarctica is upside down. Good one, Ken. Thank you so much for a chuckle today. Rob says, where can I get the short codes for dynamic content? Actually, the bad news is that the TYFCB is the only short code there is right now. So we're hoping, we are going to be upgrading to a new version of the CMS in 2017. It's actually the one that the national sites are run on right now. And hopefully at that time, we can explore some additional short codes. Unfortunately, right now, this TYFCB is the only short code for pulling that out of BNI Connect. The other thing is that is going to be running a 1 year of the previous 12 months. Okay, so right now it's actually doing December 1st of 2015 through November 30th of 2016. So you won't see that number change on a daily basis. It'll only change basically next month. So on December 1st, it will then, on January 1st, it will basically be showing us all of 2016, because that was the previous 12 months. So does that make sense, Rob? Does that help? All right, Michael asks, can we add any additional pages? Unfortunately, we are limited to the pages that are here. So we only have these 4 pages basically available per chapter website. That is, again, something they're looking at as a possibility in the future. You can, however, in a lot of cases, really repurpose the pages. So you can, for example, take the gallery, and with the gallery, again, you have the ability to really make a really, really big header and a really, really big footer. So you can kind of, if you don't have any albums in here, you kind of have another big long page to work with here. And you can even rename the page itself so it's not called the gallery, it's called whatever you want that page to be. So good question, Mike. Does that help? All right. Do we have any additional questions? Any additional questions? All right, Ben. Ben says, we have been trained to try to find tier 1, 2, and 3 referrals, but the only option when submitting 1 or 2 option available when you're submitting referral slips. You are correct. There is only those options now. The fact of the matter is the online slips were based on the actual paper slips, and until they change the BNI policy basically and the BNI paper slips, then we'll be able to make those updates in BNI Connect as well for those. So I do know on the thank you for closed business, it does have the tier 3 plus on there as well. So you can track some of those from an additional tiered standpoint. So the other thing that you can do is there is a suggestions section on the help site, so you're always welcome to submit that there for the global support team and the people at headquarters to take a look at. All right, do we have any additional questions? All right, if there's no additional questions, I'm just going to say thank you guys so much for being here with me today. Just a reminder, you can always check out the support site by clicking on the question mark in the upper right-hand corner here, this question mark. That'll take you to the BNI Connect support site, and of course, live and recorded webinars. I'll be posting the December series of webinars shortly. And you can always share the links to sign up for our upcoming webinars. As I said, next week we're going to be doing our member series of webinars. So a good referral for me is to please share those with your members, especially new members that are just joining your chapter. It's a great way to get them to dive into BNI Connect right away and get started on the right foot. In the meantime, thanks again for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Happy connecting and happy holidays.